Hi, everybody. I'm here with Alison Johnstone, who I met in a course. So she was on the ear acupuncture course taught by Tamsin not too long ago. So we were having a chat, and I thought she had some interesting things to share with you. So here is Alison. Alison,
Hi.
hi. So, would you want to explain to everybody who you are and what's your background?
Yeah, my name's Alison. I work in marketing. I run a marketing agency called Electrically, and we help small businesses and startups with their marketing. And that basically means I spend all my life behind a desk looking at computers. And so one reason for doing a course was I've always wanted to kind of get into helping people a bit more, like working directly with people and helping them instead of just looking at a computer screen all day.
Yeah, that little bit of human touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think growing up, like my Saturday jobs were probably the most rewarding, and that's
Mm.
probably because I was dealing directly with people and chatting and things like that. And I've missed that moving into the office environment. So it was kind of a way of exploring what else is out there. And I think that the ear acupuncture course is quite good because it was a small introduction
Mm.
into the world of contemporary therapy.
So, apart from the acupuncture course, what other experience have you got in complementary therapies?
Well, I think like most people, I've enjoyed a massage here and there, like as a,
Haven't we all?
as a way to spoil myself. But I do a lot of sports and in particular aerial,
Mhm.
which is aerial hoop, which is kind of basically hanging off the hoop and doing tricks and stuff. And it's quite taxing on the body, but it's also very sociable. Like the people in the class are really great. And you don't really realize that you're having a workout. But I got tennis elbow,
Mm.
um, and it just wouldn't go away. And I was having I think I had 5 sessions with my osteopath. And yeah, he was doing lasers, doing massages, and nothing was working. And it was really starting to get me down because like this class was part of my social life as well.
Yeah.
And just sitting at home and you've got this kind of dull pain in your arm all the time, and you know, you don't want to like get annoyed at your body either. I was trying to not I was trying to think positively and not call it
Mm.
my bad elbow, things like that.
Mm.
It's not a bad elbow, it's just hurting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not naughty.
yeah, my osteopath was laughing at me. It was
Mm.
like, yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna work if I'm positive. It was actually him that suggested doing acupuncture.
Yeah.
And I had one session and it just went away.
Brilliant.
And I went back literally a week later, back
Yeah.
to my hoop class. I think he only had 3 months off, but I was like, I'm back, I'm cured.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that so many times. I've tried everything and then I tried one session of acupuncture and it worked.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I wish I'd kind of done it straight away rather
Mm.
than like having all of these other sessions. But yeah, now it just kind of opened that whole world up to me. And yeah, it's just for the better, really.
Yeah. So when in the class we were having a little chat about what you may be
Oh
able
yeah.
to offer to our listeners or all the complementary therapists that are out there that actually do listen to us. I mean, in the past we've done little bits of lessons on what TCM can do and what complementary therapists can do. But if you're already a therapist, you already know all that. So,
Yeah.
what do you think that you can offer to these guys to help them in their jobs?
Yeah. Well, I think if I remember rightly, I was sat here in the class and I had to edit some ads. So I had my laptop out doing it and I could overhear you guys talking about social media
Mm.
and like how to make an impact. And I'm thinking like, oh, like I have something to say here. So anyway, I just spoke up.
Mm.
Um, and I think my background, I mean, I started off with tech companies,
Yeah.
like selling online, and now everybody sells online.
Mhm.
Like that, like every service, you find it online,
Yeah.
and that's just the whole world. So I think I've got a lot of skills, like helping people to just start up.
Mm.
It's a very crowded marketplace,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of different, like we were talking before we started about AI and
Yeah.
bots and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to like cut through all of the noise.
Yeah. AI is a big problem right now.
Yeah. So I was just thinking of ways that like if you are you're just starting out, you might have a bit of imposter syndrome. There's some really good therapists out there who seem like everybody knows them, their names are well known. It's like, where's the space for me amongst them? So I've just got a couple of ideas. Like the first one really was actually inspired by something that Tamsin, the teacher, said in the class, which was about thinking about how you can run different sessions. So she was running mother and daughter sessions. So they were both coming together, and she was saying she's helping the mothers with like menopause, and then daughters with like attention, because I think they were like kind of GCSE age. So it was sort of helping them with concentration and anxiety and things like that. But also just bringing them together in a room, and they can do something together. And that bonding. So that was kind of one idea. It's kind of thinking out of the box, where you can use your skills to get in with like a niche or a group. Especially as wellness is mainstream now. It's not like a little niche thing that somebody might go to and you don't really understand. Like big corporations are thinking seriously about how to incorporate wellness into their businesses with their employees. So things like you could contact the HR department and offer wellness sessions in their business, like at lunchtime, offering like massages or whatever it is.
Little shoulder massages at the desks. Stress.
Exactly. And I think that people are going to love that. Like, and so if you get in with like a few HR managers, sports groups, like football clubs, like things like that, anywhere where people are sort of gathering, like and you almost have like a trade now. When you study here, you've got that trade you can do anywhere, and you can just go in and offer that to people.
Absolutely. A lot of people forget that you can take that anywhere. We've even had people doing it on holiday.
God, that'd be nice, isn't it? Pay for your holiday. But just like I had ear seeds done to me at a Christmas buying event, where it was I think it was like a beauticians or something. So they're obviously trying to get us to buy gift vouchers and stuff, but they were just offering it in the corner, like as a freebie to people. Things like that, basically, where you can build up clientele, make a name, make some contacts, network, and then just kind of cut through that noise if it's a crowded marketplace. And then another really good resource, if you don't have I think building a website is quite daunting, but you don't even really need a website nowadays. You can just use Google My Business.
Yes.
Very easy.
I think that's the biggest thing that got us started was Google My Business. As soon as I found that, it really gets you up the Google ranking, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Google tells you what they want. They literally will say, you need to fill in this, you need to fill in that. And at the end of the day, Google wants people to use Google. So they want businesses on there. They want you to follow their kind of standards. They want you to add pictures, they want you to add reviews, they want you to add your contact information. And the more that you follow their rules, the more likely you are to appear at the top. Especially with reviews. And again, that's another thing that people can think, like, how can I get reviews? Especially they might be concerned that they're going to get a negative review. Which everyone's going to get a negative review.
At
some point it's going to happen. It could even be, we were talking before this as well, about it could just be a bot that has gone round and put some like something completely random with like a 1 star, and you're looking at it thinking you were never a customer, like you're not even a real person.
And you could even get unscrupulous competitors leaving bad reviews.
That happens. And it is really difficult to get them removed, practically impossible by Google. But the best thing to do regardless is it's almost an opportunity to demonstrate who you are by how you respond.
Absolutely.
Like if you address it and you don't be defensive or argumentative, but you just go in and say like, oh, I'm sorry you had that experience. leave a contact number or an email and say, we'll be happy to discuss it with you. Like if you get in contact, sometimes it might not even be a customer. So you can point that out and say, like, we don't have a record of you as a customer.
Yeah.
But again, be polite.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get defensive about it, because I think it's one of the things that we teach on the emotional therapy as well, is if you get defensive about something, it immediately shows that you've got a guilt complex somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we all do find it amusing when you see like a restaurant that's just like going in on it, the people who've left bad reviews, but that you don't want to be famous for that.
No, you don't want to be famous for that. No,
you don't want to go viral for how you're responding to reviews. But yeah, like I think anybody, like if they see that, if they see that you're addressing it, they're not going to think badly about you. They're going to think, fair enough, that's an adult response to that bad review.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that I was taught. I mean, I would admit I did a little bit of marketing years ago, and one of the biggest things that we were taught is it's not how many problems you have, it's how you solve them.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And then my final one, turn the page, is around content and what to talk about. I think everybody knows now that and they're told that they have to produce content on their website, or they have to, be doing social media and all of this. And I think that can be quite daunting.
Yeah,
especially
very much.
Especially if you are someone who you've chosen to be a therapist because you just like being on your feet rather than in front of a computer.
And of course, like you said before, with these people who've got imposter syndrome, if they're producing content, they're going to be thinking, is my content worthwhile? Should I be doing this?
Yeah. What authority do I have?
Exactly. What is my authority? What do I know?
Yeah. Well, the fact that you have to remember that you are an expert and you are trained. So that's the first thing to remember.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I say to the students. You know more than the client that's in front of you. That's why they've come to you. They've booked you. Therefore, you have the right to say this.
Yeah. And then just finding what to talk about can also be a challenge.
Yeah.
One of my clients is surveyors, and like the world of surveying isn't that exciting. You'd think there isn't that much to talk about.
I'm sure it is to a surveyor.
there is actually a lot to talk about. So, and also it's another industry where it's quite competitive. Like every local area has a surveyor. They were trying to go national, which means they were kind of breaking into different areas where there are already established surveyors. So, we're trying to produce authentic content which actually helps people as well, that people want to read. So one thing we did is we just go around looking at different forums. Facebook groups are brilliant. Mumsnet is another really good resource. Basically, where anybody is, they'll be talking about this topic, and they'll be asking questions.
Yeah, I think one of the key things with Facebook forums is, and I've found out recently as well, is not to get dragged into the conversations with the trolls. Just to note what they're saying, make a note of it, and then work on that in your own way. Yeah,
I mean, that's almost an opportunity in itself. Like, but so with this example with the surveyors, the one thing I noticed was that a lot of people were saying that they were nervous about having a survey done on their home.
Yeah,
they're nervous because they might have found their dream home and they need to sell their home for a certain value, and they're worried they're going to be downvalued. They're going to look at a crack in the wall and tell them that the house is falling down. So it was quite a nervy process. But when you Googled, there was nobody that was addressing that at all with like any advice. People saying things like what to expect when you're having a house survey, or nervous about a house survey. So we just produced a piece of content which was just addressing that issue. It is normal to feel nervous about this. This is what's going to happen. This is what happens when a surveyor comes to your door. This is what they want to see. This is what you should do to your house. Like, you don't have to make it too tidy, but just make sure they can get to areas. Then also what you should do if you do have a bad survey.
Yeah.
So you kind of address this whole.
That sounds like a really useful article.
It is exactly, and I think that the the same thing, like a lot of therapists can do the same. There'll be a lot of questions people are asking about the process, like what happens when I go to an appointment, what are they going to say to me, what do I need to show them. And again, if you just look through these forums, you'll find people like asking these questions, even thinking out of the box. Like there's a lot of like DIY forums. I've often found like personal questions on there in places like Money Saving Expert, because people spend a lot of time there, and it almost becomes their like social group, and that's who they ask when they've got a problem. Like you would if you were in offline. These are the people you'd speak to. So it'd be saying like, oh, I know this is off topic, but has anyone ever gone to this? Anyone ever had this done? I don't know what to expect. So yeah, when you find that question, like make a list, go through, see what people are saying. You can use the search function. So like let's say let's take cupping as an example. You could go into Mumsnet and put cupping in the search, see what comes up, read through all the threads, see not just the first question, but go through and see what everyone's saying. Write a list of these questions and these like queries and things like that. Then go back to Google. It just takes like an hour to do. Go back to Google, put that in, see what pops up. And it might be that someone's answered it, but you might be able to give a better answer, like a more in-depth, a longer answer, a more relevant answer. And this is where like a trained therapist expertise come in, because they'll be the person who's best positioned to answer this over a company that's just doing it because they're trying to sell a product.
Well, so there is quite a few companies out there that write these. I'm sorry, probably your company is one of these, but that write articles for other people, but they write them using information that they found on the net. And then they publish these articles, and it's actually not full of any new content, but being an expert in the industry. So if, for instance, if you're writing an article on what it's like to receive an acupuncture session, you're the person that knows, because you've trained in that, and you've had many of them because you've trained in it.
So that.
You're writing from an expert's point of view.
And I would, to build on that, like I wouldn't ever try to answer a question which you don't have the expertise in. Because of that. But like again, I think going back to imposter syndrome, this is where it kind of comes in, like, oh, I won't be able to compete with that. But because as soon as you start finding these questions, it's going to probably speak to you, and you're going to go, no, actually, I do know this. Because I've had people in my room, or I've got a real world example where this happened. And that will give you the confidence to answer it.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I can remember years ago when I first started writing some articles, and I was really, really worried about what people would think of it when they read it. But I showed some of the students, and that's really good. That's really good. And it gives you some confidence. But if you think that all you're doing is you're rewording what you've been trained in anyway, then that's fine. That is an expert point of view.
I think that's another good tip, is run it past people as well, because I think when you're so used to your own subject area, like my first job actually was in PR and engineering firm, and engineers would be doing these amazing projects, and then you would have to go to them and say, like, we want to promote this because it's amazing. Like you're like building a pipe that's bringing fresh water to an area of the world that hasn't had it. But they're so focused on the details, like how big the pipe is, what the concrete of the pipe is, that they're just like, oh, that isn't interesting. And it's like, no, it is. Because they're so used to it. And I think, again, being a therapist, you kind of think, oh, I didn't think that was that special, that this can help with this. But it's only when you share it with other people, they're like, oh, God, I never knew that.
Absolutely. This is like one of the things. I mean, I don't know if people realise I do the social posts for the Acupuncture Regulatory Authority, and I've started doing a few little facts. And some of the information I'm sharing is the sort of stuff that I'm just going, what would people like to know? And then I find a question somewhere and go, all right, do people not know that? because it's so obvious to me that it's
Yeah,
ingrained. So I don't actually realize that they don't know that until come across the thing and think, well, actually, yeah, I'll just say that
yeah,
because it's a fact.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
think that's a good point with social as well, is
yeah,
actually use these on social too.
yeah,
Like not just put it on your website, but then go on and do like posts as well as this stuff, because
yeah,
that's when it can go like viral. Even doing just a little like day in the life video saying
yeah,
like, did you know this?
yeah.
That's what I've been doing today.
Oh, a couple of times I've done a really long post on my website, so an article, and then I've summarized it with a link to it on social.
Mm.
So that can drive people through to your website, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So those are the top three tips I've got.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think like I do think it's kind of difficult when you don't know how to get started. And I think if you just
yeah,
concentrate, especially on your like Google My Business, who you
yeah,
are, like what your niche is and who you're going to be amongst your
mm,
marketplace,
yeah,
research who else is out there and what they're doing, and then see how you can fit in.
yeah,
And then just be authentic and talk about yourself and your experiences and your patients' experiences. Like those three things can make a
hmm,
huge impact
absolutely. Yeah.
without spending thousands of pounds on
It's
advertising.
actually, and something I hadn't actually realized, you can put posts on Google My on your
Yeah,
Google
you
business
can.
as well. So
Yeah.
that keeps your keeps it fresh. So you don't have to keep changing information on your Google My Business. You can put a post on it which
Yeah.
refreshes it each time.
And
So that
again,
really
Google
helps.
loves it if you do that because
Yeah.
they want people to use their
Yeah.
search engine. So they want you to provide good content for people.
Hmm.
So you're kind of playing within their rules and they will promote you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's brilliant. Thank you very much for
Well,
that.
thank you for having me.
And so I hope this has been useful for you. We're going to try and bring more content like this. I've I've had a couple of ideas today, which I won't say right here because I need to speak to the people first. But yeah, I hope this has been useful for you, and we'll see you again next time.